We are now going to be speaking with and hearing from candidates that are running for the Waynesville Town Council. For anyone who missed it earlier, Thursday, October 19th is when early voting starts, and then Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th. For the Waynesville Town Council, there are 5 seats, 1 mayor and 4 town council members. There are 8 candidates running for the 4 town council seats, and we have 5 of those 8 candidates with us here this evening. We will be hearing an opening remarks from each candidate, and then we will move on to some questions. So, Mr. Chuck Dixon, would you like to start us out with your opening comments?
My name is Chuck Dixon. I have recently retired after 45 years as an attorney here in Waynesville. Before I was elected to the town council 4 years ago, I knocked on doors all across town and listened to the concerns of voters. As a result, and after I was elected, I voted against all tax increases. I supported full funding for police and firefighters. The town invested in streets, sidewalks, parks, and greenways, and we eliminated expenditures, refinanced loans, and saved over $1 million. If elected, I will continue on the same fiscal path to safeguard the taxpayers' money, and I will continue to implement Waynesville's official plan and vision to manage growth and to grow responsibly while retaining our small town feel. I'm excited about the progress Waynesville has made in the last 4 years and about the future of our town. Like in my first campaign, I've knocked on doors all over town again, and I've talked to many folks, young families, business and professional folks, seniors, retirees, and they're all happy to live here in Waynesville. All of us can be proud of our rec center and parks, our bustling downtown, our busy Frog Level and Hazelwood, our thriving family neighborhoods, our police and fire departments, the best water in North Carolina, and the great staff and employees that we have. We have challenges, but by working together, we will continue to move forward. And to conclude, we know that the heart of a small town, no matter its size, is how we treat all people, our willingness to help our neighbors, and to volunteer to make our town even better. It's about being a welcoming community. I'm very happy to live in Waynesville. I'm positive about our future. I promise to continue working hard, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Mr. John Feichter.
Good evening. I'm John Feichter, and I'm very honored to be here. I am blessed, and I mean that in the truest sense of the word, to have been born in Waynesville. So much of who I am is because of that I was born here and not someplace else. I've served 2 terms on the town council after having first been elected in 2015. I have an independent streak that's a mile wide, and I believe that government should be transparent, responsive, and accountable to the people. Growing up, I watched my parents, Rex and Libba Feichter, work tirelessly to make Waynesville a better place. And I've tried to do the same thing in my 8 years on the board council. I'm running for a 3rd term to work for a Waynesville where the economy is strong and there are enough good jobs that we're not dependent upon greedy corporations like Pactive Evergreen doing the right thing. I'm working for a Waynesville where there is enough affordable housing that our teachers and police officers and firefighters and healthcare workers can afford a place to live. Last but not least, I'm working for a Waynesville where we take a thoughtful and deliberate approach to development. And as we grow and change in the coming years, we never lose sight of the things that have made this the best small town on the planet: community, self-reliance, and an unlimited capacity for hard work. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Julia Freeman.
Good evening, everyone. I am Julia Boyd Freeman, born and raised here in Haywood County, graduated from Tuscola High School, followed by graduating from the University of Tennessee and Duke University. I'm proud of the work that our current council and I have accomplished during my 3 terms, having been elected by the citizens of Waynesville in 2011, 2015, and 2019. We have worked together despite our different political backgrounds, varying opinions and viewpoints, and different perspectives to address citizens' concerns and find positive solutions to address issues facing Waynesville. All of this in an effort to promote the long-term interests of the town and its taxpayers. I recognize the impact the town council and its policies and decisions can have on our local businesses, our community, our employees, and the environment. That is why we must review those policies to ensure they promote sustainable growth, improve the quality of life for our citizens, and protect the town's assets, such as our cherished watershed. I am pro-business. I support free market competition and entrepreneurship. I am committed to the growth and vitality of our community. At the heart of this belief is that we must work to build up the economic underpinnings of Main Street, Frog Level, and Hazelwood while making sure that our infrastructure can accommodate growth and expansion. We need to recruit new businesses, create new jobs, increase the tax base, while at the same time keeping our small town unique appeal. I have a desire to serve again and a solid history of working with diverse populations and communities. I will give back to the community that has given so much to my family and myself. A vote for me is a vote for progress with a vision towards Waynesville's future. Thank you.
Mr. Ken Hollyfield.
My name's Ken Hollifield. I've lived here in Haywood County since 1982. I'm married. I've been married for 34 years. I currently work for the town, and my main goal is to represent the people of the town of Waynesville to the best of my knowledge, and to see that our growth, if we can grow. I'm more concerned about the infrastructure and how it's going at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Anthony Sutton.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, the Mountaineer, for hosting this event this evening. As people know me, I am a person that believes in service to our community. And part of that is I've worked at Biltmore Farms in Asheville for 24 years. I'm the Director of Information Systems. I was on the planning board for 4 years, where I was the vice chair. I was the treasurer for Reach of Haywood, which is an organization that helps domestic violence victims and people of elder abuse. I was on the Haywood Healthcare Foundation, where I was the chair, and I was instrumental in getting the Health and Human Services building brought to the community college so that we can get more nurses to take care of our people in our community. Currently, I'm the chair of the French Broad River Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is a very long name for French Broad MPO. I also sit on the prioritization subcommittee for the French Broad River MPO. As you know, I'm very supportive of our police, of our fire department, and I support all of our employees. And I'm just very grateful to be on the board and ask for your vote in November.
Thank you so much, y'all. Okay, so now we're going to ask questions. And Mr. Feichter, this will be your turn to answer this first question. We're going to do 60 seconds. If we get to a question that maybe needs a little longer, then we'll make note of that. So for this one, the need for affordable housing has been mentioned by nearly every candidate in this campaign. Is it the town of Waynesville's job to solve this issue of affordable housing? And if so, what can the town do about it?
I wouldn't say that it's the job of the town of Waynesville to solve this problem. A problem of this magnitude is going to really require a public-private partnership. And I will say that the town of Waynesville has made some serious strides over the last several years in bringing in truly affordable housing. Two of the major projects, the old hospital renovation project, the Brookmont Lofts, and the projects that is going in up on Howell Mill Road, the town really helped bring those projects to fruition. And so we have we've made some progress, but we have a long, long way to go. And the there are things that we can do to help facilitate of bringing affordable housing to our community.
Thank you. Ms. Boyd Freeman.
You know, I don't believe it's the charge of the town to do this for the affordable housing, but I do think it's very important that we partner with individuals and construction companies and developers to make sure that we do have affordable housing in our community. One of the things we've done, as John mentioned, is the old hospital, and we gave tax incentives, and that brings these developers in town, and it works with them, and we work on historic districts and things like that. Our tax incentives that the town was able to secure for the old hospital was about $740,000 to get that project brought here and to get that going. And it's absolutely incredible. There's a lot of seniors who need that housing that are staying in that facility. And as we go back to the Mountain Creek, or the old Bilo apartment building it's better known as, we also gave housing incentives for those guys, as well as the 10% of the housing will be affordable based on income. So we are working hard to make sure that those citizens in the community that need affordable housing can have it and have access to it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hollifield.
The affordable housing, I think, has gotten out of hand. We've overpopulated, or should I say the current board has overpopulated the town of Waynesville. I think if they put the cart before the horse, they should have looked at all the infrastructure, the sewer lines, the roads, and all of that before completing or starting all these apartments. For example, I live on Plot Creek right next to Mr. Dixon, and when he ran for council, he was against the apartments coming up in our area. The sewer system has been here, I think he said it was built in the early 70s. And I think you should update everything before you start putting all these homes in and housing in. But we have overpopulated the town of Waynesville. We need more business, which we're not getting business.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sutton.
While we do have a great need for affordable housing in our town, whether the people are moving here or they're actually already here. And the council had committed the town to increase the availability of low and moderate home housing in 2018. And council adopted a plan, a policy that provided incentives for developers to construct such housing. To date, the town has committed to Brookmount Lofts, that's the old hospital, Balsam Edge Apartments, which is on Howe Mill Road, and Hazelwood Bluff, which is off of Locust Drive, but the state hasn't yet approved that. So we are doing a lot to increase affordable housing. Now, we also need to work with other developers to bring more workforce housing and attainable housing to our area. And I believe that we're doing that. And we've also done partnerships, like John said, or Julia said, with the apartments that went into Bilo, that we gave 10% of those for affordable housing. The need is here, whether we want to admit it or not. So we have to prepare for affordable housing.
Thank you very much. And back to you, Mr. Dixon.
Is it our job? No. Is it our responsibility? I'd say yes. The town has a policy of extending water and sewer lines to projects and not charging hookup fees. To date, we've spent or committed over, I think, $250,000 for extending sewer lines. We're currently working on extending the sewer line to the Howell Mill Road project. And of course, the hookups there will be free. That's a project by Mountain Housing Opportunities out of Asheville. All 80 units there will be affordable. We've also given free hookups to Habitat for Humanity. They're building, and they've built about 6 or 7 homes, building a few more on Sylvan Drive here in Waynesville. I wish there was more we could do. You're right, John, it is a huge problem. It is a nationwide problem for affordable housing. It's something we can help with, but it's going to take the state and the federal government to make us truly have affordable housing. And by affordable, we mean housing where workers can live, people that work and earn darn decent money where they can live and not have to pay Sorry. Thank you.
So this next question, Ms. Boyd Freeman, will be your turn to start first. It's a little bit of a tough question, so we might allow a little bit more leeway on the time. So hot button social issues have intersected with the town council from time to time over the past 4 years, whether it was masks and vaccines in 2020 or transgender bathroom use this year. Do these social issues have a role in local governance? Why or why not?
Absolutely, they have a role in local governance. So, with the mask mandate issue, we were just trying to support the state of North Carolina and their vision on that. We were not actually coming up with our own plan with the mask mandates. So that's where that initiative came from. And so I know that was a very big hot button issue, as many others are. When it comes to the transgender thing, again, we are following the law within the state of North Carolina on these issues. We cannot break the law. We can't invent the law. We follow the law and our statutes within the state. And there's many other hot button issues, including the crime, homelessness, and things like that we have to deal with within our community. And I think as a town council, we've addressed all of those repeatedly and done the best we can and made the right decisions for the citizens within our community. And, that's always going to be it. Social media is a wonderful thing, and it's also a curse within the community. So, but that's where we get a lot of our information to help individuals and to face these things straight on, so.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hollifield, if anyone ever needs me to repeat the question, please feel free to ask. Okay, you want me to read it? Okay. So hot button social issues have intersected with the town council from time to time over the past 4 years, from masks and vaccines in 2020 to transgender bathroom use this year. Do these issues have a role in local governance? Why or why not?
Kind of split on that. I know people are still wearing the mask again because they're saying that we got a different strain of COVID coming out. And, we're trying to protect ourselves on that. The transgender, it's here to stay, I'm afraid. And we have to deal with it. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept it. That's the way I feel about it. I mean, it's happened and we just have to deal with it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sutton.
It's a loaded question for me, isn't it? The masks were mandated by the state, and we were following the mandate from the state. Now, vaccines, the town never got involved in vaccines, but that was something that I encourage everyone to get their vaccine. The transgender issue, I don't believe it is an issue. I believe it is just a fact of life, that we have people that are different in our community, and we have to be a welcoming community and embrace our citizens. I'd like to talk about homelessness for just a moment, because that's a hot button issue as well, and crime. One of the previous candidates mentioned that they helped lower crime, but the homeless task force met, and I think we accomplished a lot of things by bringing a lot of people together in the community and having open dialogue, so that we can talk about these social issues without being afraid. And one of the things that we did in the homeless task force is that we actually had the judges come to the task force, to the meetings, and we discussed early release, and that was what facilitated the lowering of crime, was actually those judges coming to our task force and having open and honest dialogue. So, do we have issues in our community as far as LGBT plus issues? Yes, but I believe that as a community we can come together and welcome everyone to our community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dixon?
We hear the comments of all citizens who want to come to the town. We have a public comment session at the beginning of every meeting. We moved it to the beginning to make it easier for constituents to come and talk and not have to wait till the end of our meetings. And so you're welcome to come and talk about anything you want to if it relates to the town, and even maybe if it doesn't relate to the town. Some of our opponents are calling for limiting that public comment to only town taxpayers and residents. That's not the way we've done it before in the past. We ask someone to say whether they're from the town of Waynesville or not, but we don't limit the comment to people, and we've had plenty of comments from people who don't live in Haywood County. In terms of the issues that are brought up, the transgender issue was a really interesting one. We learned a lot. We had many people to come to our meetings, many of whom were transgender, and really helped educate us and the public about the issues they were facing and the difficulties they face. So we welcome social issues to be talked about. Thank you.
Mr. Feichter?
So as far as hot button social issues, we have to deal with them whether or not we want to, in spite of the fact that many of the issues are things that we have absolutely no ability to influence or change. And so the fact of the matter is we have an ocean of problems to solve in this town, aside from any kind of hot button social issues. And if we are going to make progress on those issues, what we have to do, absolutely must do, is stop treating people we disagree with as enemies. It is important to seek common ground. Otherwise, we're just going to be fighting amongst ourselves, and no progress is going to be made.
Thank you so much. Okay, next question, and Mr. Hollifield, it will be your turn to start first. So, much of what the town council does on a routine basis goes unseen by the public. What are some of the minutia the town council might handle, and what experience do you have that equips you to handle those things?
Well, I think that they need to be more open about that. Personally, I think it's overspending. For example, they spent $40,000, and the board had to approve it, $40,000 on a Toyota RAV4 for the two guys to read the water meters. That's $40,000 that could have been saved and spent somewhere where it was really needed, whereas behind the police department, there's a couple of vehicles those guys could have taken up. They could have changed the color of them. But one of the guys, he said they was driving a pickup truck, and he said every time he got in the truck, it was chapping his legs. Well, you know, is that a reason to spend $40,000 on a new vehicle for them to ride around and read the water meters? I have a problem with overspending here. It's grant money that they get. Somebody someday is going to have to pay all that grant money back, and it's going to be my children, my grandchildren, and all these other people's children, grandchildren is going to have to pay it back. I think, again, I want to bring up the building of all these apartment houses.
Well, we might end up addressing that in a different question.
Okay.
So
Right.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And Mr. Sutton?
Yeah, there's a lot of minutia that we deal on a weekly and monthly basis that frankly some people never see because they don't stay at the meetings long enough to see. They just make public comments and leave. There's a couple of people in the room that actually stay through most of it, but a lot of people don't see that we have to approve contracts, cleaning contracts. We have to do a plethora of things that are tedious and that we have to spend time on and research on. And a lot of times this board doesn't always agree 100% on things, but what we do very well is that we come together, discuss, and then come up with a solution for them. As far as overspending, 70% of our general fund goes to salaries and wages. We can't cut our salaries and wages. We have the best staff in North Carolina. And if we want to start cutting, that would be the first place that you'd have to start cutting. Did we spend $40,000 on a RAV4? Yes, we did, because it cost more to retrofit other cars, and they wouldn't have been paid for by grants. But we do a lot of minutia and other items that take a lot of our time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dixon.
Probably the most important thing that goes unseen is our budget. Very few people really know what's in our budget or the amount of time we spend on our budget each year. It is so important to find the money for the essential services that our town provides, police, fire, water, sewer, and all those, while holding the line on taxes. One of my opponents, Stephanie Sutton, has in her campaign platform says that we need to reduce dependency on grants. We're not dependent on grants. Every town in North Carolina gets grants. This is crazy. This demonstrates a total lack of understanding of how our local governments work. That is how we get money. We're applying for an $11 million grant for water and sewer upgrades. We just got $400,000 for a stormwater survey, and these are not monies that have to be paid back. These are monies that are given to us by the state and federal government. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Feichter.
So the truth is that the vast majority of the stuff that we do is boring. For example, just recently we approved a new parking lot. And, you know, when you think about what the town council does to make the lives of our citizens better, you know, a parking lot probably is not going to rise to the top of the list. And so much of what we do is unseen. It does involve how we spend our money. And so I have gained 8 years of experience in terms of making the best use of our limited taxpayer money.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Boyd Freeman?
I agree completely with what everyone is saying. This is our budget, and if you're not a numbers person, this is the minutia and the fine print stuff that we deal with. Our board manuals that we get for each of our board meetings can be up to 200, 300 pages that we've got to read and go through to prepare ourselves to do what we do with the meetings and in the community. We are dealing with contracts. We're dealing with lots of studies on various issues, including our clean water system, the watershed, studies on traffic control, studies with doing the wastewater treatment plant, studies with garbage and things like that. So we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that the public doesn't see. And that's why it's so important that individuals do come and attend our meetings and stay through the end, because you'll get such a knowledge and such an experience to know what goes on behind the scenes or right in front of the public's eye, but the public just doesn't there, it's not there to stay and doesn't see it. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to do a couple more questions, maybe 3, but definitely a couple more. So, Mr. Sutton, it will be your turn to start first with this question. What is at stake in this election? Why should voters come out to the polls?
Well, the heart of our community is at stake.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
Let's do 90 seconds instead of our 60. We'll give extended time on this one. Okay.
The heart of our community is at stake. We have to determine, are we a community that welcomes people to our community, or are we a community that builds walls and wants to brings drawbridges up and stops people from coming to our community? Do we want to be a welcoming community to everyone in our community, or do we want to segregate people into little areas and call them different? It is also instrumental that we maintain I won't say smart growth, but intelligent growth. Growth is going to happen whether we want it to or not, and we have to do it in a planned way that provides good jobs for our community and housing for our community. And we have to also make sure that we are staying above the law and that we aren't doing things that might be illegal, like trying to put moratoriums on things when the state will not allow us to do that. So Is it common sense? No, it's more than common sense. It's actually knowledge that we need to lead our community forward.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon?
I think there's a stark difference between the town council that's currently serving and the folks who are opposing us. What our opponents would like to do is to repair all streets and roads, fix all water and sewer lines, raise salaries and pay, reduce dependency on grants, implement programs to address homelessness, all with no tax increases, no cuts in services, and by cutting the budget. This displays, again, a complete lack of knowledge about how our town government works. We struggle every day to find the money to pay for the things. We make decisions every day about what we can fund and what we can't fund, and we are doing our best to try to find more money. It's also, the stark difference is also about following the law or not. One of our opponents, Peggy Hanna, sits on our planning board. She knows full well that it is illegal to have any kind of a moratorium on residential development, yet she is proposing exactly that. I don't trust people who can't follow the law.
Mr. Feichter, thank you. Mr. Feichter?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, most
please?
certainly. What is at stake in this election? Why should voters come out to the polls and vote?
I asked Becky to repeat that question because I think it's important that we hear the question and the response, and that is, it's our future. Of course, it's important that we get out and vote. It's important that we engage with voters to determine what is important to the citizens of this community. For example, we have, all of us have talked about the lack of affordable housing in this community. And in 2020, I started really digging into affordable housing. And at that time, the average sales price of a home in Haywood County was $305,000, okay? Today, just 2.5 years later, it's over $400,000. And so are we going to be a community where only wealthy people can afford to buy a home? And I say no, and that's the reason, one of the reasons why I'm running for reelection.
Thank you. And Ms. Boyd Freeman?
You know, what's at stake, the future of this town is at stake during this election. It's so important that we get work on affordable housing, we work on transportation, we work on issues facing our citizens on a daily basis. It's so important. We need to do sustainable growth. In the last 2 decades, Waynesville has only grown 10%. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that is sustainable, and it's something that we can push forward in the future. We don't want to do outgrowth too much, but we've got to bring in new businesses, new opportunities for young people to stay in this community, to work in this community, and to feel proud of Waynesville. And I think that's what's at stake at this election. We need individuals who are reasonable, individuals who aren't putting falsehoods and information out there that is absolutely not true, people who are open-minded and will listen to the citizens and work with those citizens to get us a path forward and make Waynesville the best little town in North Carolina, if not the country.
Thank you, Mr. Hollifield.
Well, they talk about the businesses that's being brought in. I haven't seen no businesses brought in. All I see is more housing brought in. That's not a business to me. A business is, once they get these apartments built, the people that's building them, they move out. They don't, they leave, go to another project. We're already overpopulated in the town of Waynesville. And we need to, we need business, not a McDonald's or not a Burger King or anything like that. What other business do we have in Haywood County or the town of Waynesville? We lost Champion, we lost Daco. So there's no business here. The only thing it is apartments for people to come from Asheville or Hendersonville to live here or they work at Harris to live here and go back to work. They're not bringing businesses into Haywood County. To me personally, all I think they care about is building apartments. I understand now that if a house is torn down, they can go back with a duplex or a high-rise apartment without going before the board. That's not right. We need to look at that, but they're putting more housing in. They're giving the planning board more room to do whatever they want to do, and I disagree with that.
With all due respect, Ken, I want to take 15 seconds that I didn't
How about
have
this?
to
We will-
address that.
and we can all
We
address
have
that
Giles
with the next
Chemical
question.
that had an expansion in Hazelwood. We had Drake Software come to Frog Level. We had an expansion of Sunoco Plastics. So we have new businesses coming to the area.
How many people?
That was, Drake Software was over 100 people.
Well, how many people live in Haywood County, though? That's what I'm asking.
We don't have to do all of Haywood County. We're
Well, we
doing
don't.
Waynesville.
That's a very valid question. Let me see if I can figure out a way to phrase that we could, let me think of a way to phrase that. And I'll go ahead and ask this question since I know it's on a lot of people's minds, which is about growth and development. Waynesville is witnessing significant growth and development. Sorry if this question is repetitive because it's come up a lot, even though it hasn't been a specific question. But what is your philosophy on this issue? If a private developer wants to build a certain type of development on a piece of private property, and what should the town council do or not do to address that building project?
Who are you asking that to?
Mr. Dixon, I believe it's your turn to go first. We're back up to you.
First of all, I'm not quite sure what you mean by growth. Do you mean growth in population? What do you mean?
Let's talk about residential developments.
Okay.
To
And-
differentiate between that and the
And you say we've
commercial
had
business.
significant growth. Exactly what are you talking about? What kind of statistics do you have to indicate that we have had significant, or as you asked the mayor's, unprecedented growth? I mean, all I know is one new apartment complex. I know of which is people are going crazy about. You know, it's apartments at the old Bilo that people think is just going to ruin the town. But once they get going, they'll be just fine. I did oppose the Plot Creek apartments, but what I found out was that because I didn't think that was the right place for them to be. But what I found out was the traffic's not that bad. There's a sidewalk. I have people walking by my house, walking their dogs. It's not a bad thing. You know, the Bilo apartments are in an appropriate place, and the people can walk. People can walk to the rec park. They can walk to town. They can walk to restaurants. In terms of what a private developer should be able to do, as long as they comply with our zoning laws and the laws that we have in effect, they're entitled to do what they want to. We can't tell people they can't make the best use of their property. We can manage that somehow. But we've had zoning laws in effect for 20, 30 years. They're the same rules that we've had all along. We want to manage the growth, and we are looking at some things to do as far as managing the growth, but by and large, it's going to occur.
Thank you very much. Mr. Feichter.
If I understand your question, absolutely we have to have housing for people. There was a recent study by Mountain Projects that indicated that the number of units that we need was close to 1,000 units, okay? And so that's for people that are here currently. As far as telling a private property owner what they can or cannot do with their property, man, that's a very tricky issue, and I certainly am not interested in imposing any kind of legislative restriction on what somebody can or can't do with their own private property. Now, that said, there are things that the town can do with its zoning ordinances. For example, one of the things that we are looking at is the possibility of down zoning, where we reduce the density that is allowed on any piece of property. For example, everybody saw the Queens Farms property where there were just 200 and something units. And so I think that we need to look at how we are zoning our the districts, so that, first of all, the individual has the right to determine what they are doing with their property.
Thank you very much. Ms. Boyd Freeman.
Yes, the last thing I want and that I would definitely not support is telling individuals what to do with their properties. If they follow our 2035 land development standards and they qualify under those standards, they should be able to do what they want to with their property. So I definitely, that's a slippery slope that we don't want to go down, to stop someone from developing their property or the right for them to develop that property. I will say with the housing developments, I sat on a countywide housing task force several years ago, and John, back in those years, it was 1,700. We were 1,700 housing units short here in Haywood County. And so in recent years, yes, we've got that number down to 1,000, but there's still a great need. And it needs to be three different folds there. It needs to be workforce housing, it needs to be affordable housing, and it needs to be single-family dwellings and homes for people in the community to move in here. So, and back to what Mr. Hollifield brought up about businesses here. What I've seen a surge in recent years is the fact that we've got new, younger people opening business. We've got the Scotchman, we've got Axe and All, we've got the Baker family with Boojum, and a new restaurant going on Russ Avenue. And these are all younger people under the age of 40 opening these businesses. So we're seeing a resurgence with individuals coming back to our community and supporting it and opening these viable businesses.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hollifield.
Well, let's get to the apartments at Bilo. They started building those apartments at Bilo before they decided to get the widening of Russ Avenue. What people don't realize, yes, they're working on the sewer plant right now, but by the time they get it built, it's going to be over capacity, and that's going to be in 2025. So the town is going to be looking for another place to build another sewer plant, because all these apartments going up, we're going to be, the town's going to have to handle all the sewer and water, or the sewer from the apartments going out near the Old Highway, Howell Mill, the other apartments on Howell Mill, Bilo. They're going to have to handle all the sewer that's coming off of Sunnyside over there, and I think they're starting out with 65 homes, and it could go up to 300. So, there's our infrastructure. And what I've said before, they put the cart before the horse on the infrastructure. They should have got the sewer plant up to, it's over capacity now. And I know that we're fined, the town is fined each month. I'm not sure how much they're fined each month by the state for being over capacity. Maybe the current board knows, but I don't. They're putting electric chargers in here on Montgomery, the parking. The money they spent, are they going to get that back? No, it's free. And, we're not going to get any of that money back for the chargers. It's free. And it's wasteful spending.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sutton.
So I agree that private property, I don't want to tell people what they can do legally on their own private property if it is already in the 2035 plan. As far as traffic goes on Russ Avenue, the traffic studies indicated that the traffic that was going to Bilo was more than what these apartments would generate. And we've noticed that the traffic studies were correct because of Plot Creek. There's not long lines on Plot Creek. The charging stations we got 2 different grants for that, grants, a $20,000 grant and a $90,000 grant that covered those charging stations. But do I believe that we should tell people what they can legally do with their property? No. That's devaluing someone's property if you downgrade them, and that's illegal in the state.
Thank you very much. I think we should try to fit in one last question. And I've got a lot on my list here, so I'm having a little bit of a problem deciding which one to go with. But we'll let you guys end with this one and maybe share with voters a little bit more about who you are as a person and get away from some of the heavy topics that we've talked about here. But can you share an example or examples of things that you've done to make Waynesville a better place to live, work, or play? And I guess, Mr. Feichter, you would be the first one.
Sure. So I could not be more proud of the work that I have done as a member of the town council these last 8 years. But one of the things that I could not be more excited about is the return of the Gateway to the Smokies Arch across Main Street. I have been working with the Downtown Waynesville Association and Alex McKay back there to return that arch that means so much to so many people here in Waynesville and beyond. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but they have started construction on that. Tomorrow they are digging the foundation holes, which are 10 feet deep. And so in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing construction to return that arch across Main Street.
Thank you so much. And it can be town related or not. So Ms. Boyd Freeman, something you've done to make Waynesville a better place to live, work, or play?
Yes, in the last 11 and a half years that I've been on the town council, we've opened the skate park, we've refurbished tennis courts, we've upgraded parking lots and adding parking lots. We've redone the dog park, which is a favorite of mine since I have 2 wonderful dogs. We've rehabilitated sidewalks all over the community. We've replaced several thousand feet and lines of sewer and water in the community to build that infrastructure back up. We've renovated some of our buildings, including the municipal building, the first floor on that. We've added the equipment and the needs for those in the fire department, the police department with their cars and fire trucks. We've secured land to build a brand new fire station in Hazelwood, which is so needed. We've done lots of different, we just recently purchased a new street sweeper to keep our streets clean. And so we've done a lot, I think, to make this town better under our leadership.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hollifield.
Well, I work for the town. I've not been in a position to really do anything for the town to make it look better. I am the former street sweeper, which now I drive the recycle truck. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and tell you, the trash is not going to get any less. It's getting worse. All the buildings and everything, it's getting worse. And we have to face that too also. But we can't help that. It's trash pickup, and we have to pick it up, and it's getting worse. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sutton?
There's so many. One thing that I'm very proud of is that I implemented the payroll study that was implemented that women and men make the same for doing the same job, and that we also increased the pay for our police officers. We have some of the best paid police officers in Western North Carolina, which attracts the best police officers. We increased salaries in all the departments to attract and retain employees, and we improved an incentive program to attract candidates for the police department. Also was instrumental through the MPO in getting Main Street paved, which I'm sure everyone is glad that they don't have to drive over potholes anymore. And it was instrumental in getting Pigeon Street repaved. When I was on the Haywood Healthcare Foundation, I helped facilitate the building of the Health and Human Services building for training nurses so that we would have nurses trained in our community that would take care of the aging community that was here. So there's a lot of things, and we have multiple pages that we could go through that I'm very proud of.
Thank you very much. And back up to you, Mr. Dixon.
In my prior life, before I became a town council member, a long time ago, actually, I started the Guardian Ad Litem program here in Haywood County. I was one of the founders of CARE, our Child Advocacy Center. For many, many years, I was a volunteer with Folkmoot and served as the president of that organization. I've served as an advocate for special needs children in the schools. And one of the true privileges that I've had fairly recently was to be the first president of the Haywood County NAACP. And I hope I can continue working on I'm not a member of any of these. I'm not an active member of any of these organizations anymore because the town is taking up all my time, and I hope to continue doing some good things with the town. Thank you.
Wonderful. We are now going to move to closing statements. So if we continue in the order we had been going in, then Julia, Ms. Boyd-Freeman will be our first candidate to offer closing statements.
In closing tonight, I'd like to thank the Mountaineer and those of you who took time to attend this meeting. The town of Waynesville needs proven leadership, common sense government. We must work together, not against one another. I believe in Waynesville. I believe in our people, our heritage, our perseverance. Some say we are becoming a little Asheville. I say nonsense, and that is an insult to our citizens, our local businesses, and our taxpayers. The future of Waynesville is bright, and those who claim otherwise and spread false information to gain support don't deserve to serve on this town council. What brings people to Waynesville is beauty, its people, its recreational opportunities, our 3 unique business districts. We must preserve all of these, and I pledge to do so. I respectfully ask for your vote on November the 7th. Remember, a vote for me is a vote for progress and a vision towards Waynesville's future. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Hollifield.
I'd like to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to sit up here and talk. Ms. Freeman is talking about the beauty. Well, you look around now, it's not as beautiful as it was 10 years ago. All these apartments going up. If I'm elected, I want to represent the people. I'll have to resign my job with the town, but I'll be spending more time with the town. I want to know what our people, what's going on with our employees. I want to be seen and heard. And if they have any questions, I've already told some of the people that I know that's wanting me in, I will support them. If I don't have an answer, I'll find an answer. But I'm for the town. I think we can change it. Yeah, I hear a lot of things that we are a little Asheville. We need to change this. We need to go back to the old Waynesville. And thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Sutton.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting this evening, and thanks everyone for taking the time out of their evening to be here. I just want to make and continue to make Waynesville the best place to live, work, play, and love. And I think we can do that by lots of things like supporting our small businesses and providing what they need to succeed. We need to continue to make Waynesville a walkable town, preserve our green spaces, and make it the best place to live, work, play, and love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dixon.
I want to correct one, excuse me, one thing that seemed to have been said, which is our sewer plant will not have the capacity to manage the growth that we have. Our sewer plant, when completed at the end of next year, will serve us well into the next many, many years. I do want to point out one glaring thing tonight. This is the first time that candidates in Waynesville have turned down an opportunity to speak to the public. Trey Franklin, Stephanie Sutton, and Peggy Hanna are not here tonight. Why? Discussion of different ideas is a good thing. That's how our current council operates. Have the absent opponents realize that while it's easy to complain, it's hard to find solutions, and they have offered few. Are they afraid to engage in a real discussion? Are they concerned about being confronted about the misinformation that they have put out about crime, safety, being able to stop growth, and the portrayal of our town as being on the decline? I don't know.
Okay,
A
so
town
we're
leader,
going to
a
continue
town
with
leader
your
has to
comments.
speak with the press. It's part of the job. The public depends on it. This refusal disqualifies them. As a council member, I always respond to the press. I have given my cell phone number to over 1,500 voters in this campaign. I will remain available to anyone, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Feichter?
Thank you so much for being here. It truly is an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Waynesville as a town councilman. In my opening remarks, I said that government should be transparent, responsive, and accountable to the people. And I know that sounds trite, but I really believe it. And the way that I do that is to listen to people and engage with people. And I'm an open book. My cell phone number is published on my Facebook page. Call me, send me an email. I'm always here to listen to your concerns and help you. So I am very grateful for your support for the last years, and I ask for your support so I can keep working for Waynesville.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Boyd Freeman?
I opened up.
Oh, wait,
But first,
First.
we're just going to keep going.
How about that?
Round two of closing comments. I was kidding. So I would like to invite the audience to give the candidates a round of applause for coming out tonight, and thank them for stepping up to run for office and be here to answer our questions. And we thank the viewers at home for tuning in to hear about the important issues facing the town of Waynesville.